Okay, so here we have a fully assembled Hanayama Ripple puzzle. It's very pretty looking. And the first thing we need to do is disassemble this original position. But before we do that, we're going to talk about how we're going to reference the puzzle. So there's a gold piece. We're just going to refer to that as the gold piece. And then you've got the Hanayama piece, which is we've got the Hanayama engraving facing us. That is important. We want that facing us from an orientation point of view to start with. And then the Hanayama and the Ripple pieces, they each have two ends. One is thicker, one is smaller, so we are going to call it the bigger end and the smaller end of both. So the bigger ends are the two outside pieces as we're looking at here. The smaller ends are these two bits in the middle. We're going to grab on to the bigger ends of the Hanayama and the Ripple piece, and we're going to turn them so that they are closer to each other. And then we're just going to let go of the Ripple and the gold piece, and they're going to fall down to the right hand side. We're now just going to change the orientation of the Hanayama piece, which is the piece that we're hanging onto. We're going to turn it over into this position, and we're going to hold it in a position where we cannot see the Hanayama engraving. The engraving is underneath here. And you want the other two pieces in this position in here. If it doesn't, then you sort of just need to untangle them or pass one over the other. And the first move just happened by itself just then. Because we're in exactly the right position, the gold piece can now slide out from under the Hanayama piece. And once we've got that position, we're then going to grab the gold piece and we're just going to drop it off the end of the Hanayama piece in here and just let go of the puzzle there. Now we have a sort of a chain position here. So the Hanayama and the gold piece aren't connected to each other, which is good because we are making progress. Next, what we're going to do is we're going to grab the smaller end of the Hanayama piece in this position. We're going to grab the smaller end of the Ripple piece in this position. Once you've got this position, we're going to turn it up so you can see what happens with the two bigger ends of each piece. So now what we're going to do is we're going to pass those in front of each other. And I find it easiest for this next movement just to track what happens to these two pieces. So they pass in front of each other and then they lay flat down against each other. And from here, we can then separate the Hanayama piece completely. Once we've done that, we're now going to grab the bigger end of the Ripple piece on the left hand side. We're going to grab the end of the gold piece that doesn't have the groove in. So you can see that groove in the gold piece on this side of it. And we're going to do exactly the same move that we just did to separate the Hanayama and the Ripple piece. We're going to turn it up into this position. We're going to pass those two pieces in front of each other. And then again, track these two pieces for the actual movement. We're going to lay them flat down against each other and we can separate those two pieces there. And that is how you disassemble the Ripple puzzle. And to reassemble the Ripple puzzle, it is a little bit more difficult than disassemble it, in my opinion. The first thing we need to do is make sure we've got the right orientation of all three pieces when we connect them to each other. Now we're going to start off, we don't need the Hanayama piece. What we need is the gold piece in this position and the silver piece. So we actually need the gold piece in this position here. So on the Ripple piece, we want the engraving facing away from us so we can't see it in here because it's on the underside in here. And we're going to line it up so that the pieces that have the two grooves in, so there's a groove in the silver piece here and a groove in the gold piece in here, they're going to be the ones that are connecting sort of through the holes in this position. And then from there, I find it easier to track these two ends of the piece in terms of what needs to happen movement wise. They come up and cross over into this position here. From here, we can just let the gold piece hang. We're going to pass the Ripple piece over to the right hand side. And then we're going to connect the Hanayama piece. The Hanayama piece, we shouldn't be able to see the engraving. So again, the engraving's on the underside as we are looking down on it. And we are connecting the smaller end of the Hanayama piece and the smaller end of the Ripple piece. So we come under and into this position in here. I'll give you a second to get that position. And then again, focus on the two bigger ends and what happens with those. So they come up and cross over into this position in here. Once you've got this position, we're going to switch our focus to the Hanayama piece, which is on the right hand side, and to make it a little bit easier, so we're going to flip it over and pass it over to our left hand. So we're in this position, we can't see the Hanayama engraving, and what we're going to do is we're going to grab the gold piece in here, grab it by the bottom and twist it out into this position, and we're going to hook it over the edge of the Hanayama piece, the smaller end of the Hanayama piece. The final move before we actually reassemble that original ripple position is to get the gold piece into the hoop of the Hanayama piece. And again, because we're in exactly the right position, it pretty much just happens on its own. And here we are in this original position, and now we've got the toughest move, which is reassembling that very beautiful ripple position. To do that, we're going to grab the bigger end of the Hanayama piece in this position. We're going to find the bigger end of the ripple piece. We've brought the gold piece with it. That should happen automatically if you grab it correctly. Now this is the most difficult part. It's very, very fiddly and does take a lot of practice to get right. I'm hopefully going to show you a way that requires the least amount of luck. So we're going to lock the gold piece to the Hanayama piece in this position here. And then we're going to let the ripple piece sort of drop down in front and then just go around the back into this position. And then the heights are a little bit wrong, so what we need to do is focusing on the two bigger ends now. We sort of just need to make those two ends opposite each other, and it pretty much falls into place. And that is how you reassemble the ripple puzzle.